Hello everybody, welcome back to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Jadon Sancho looks set to stay and Ugarte won't play. It's Erik ten Hag's press conference reaction. We've got it all for you hot off the press in the last few minutes. He's spoken about signings. He's called Alan Shearer stupid, which I would normally agree with, but actually I sort of tweeted that I agreed with Shearer and his criticism of Rashford last week. Ten Hag has called it stupid. Eric, I'm stupid then. Anybody is stupid who criticised Rashford last week, according to Ten Hag. Maybe it's stupid to keep picking a player that's not been playing well for a year. I'm just throwing that out there. We'll talk about that. Also, we've got Erik ten Hag's thoughts on Scott McTominay leaving and on Rasmus Hojlund's return. And of course, we've got our transfer deadline show, which is starting at 2 and running all the way through till 11. So if you want to talk about your favourite signing, if you want to talk about, players that won't leave, if you want to rank the transfer window, you want to, get involved, we are live all the way through until 11 o'clock on this channel now. I'll be passing you over there. I'll be picking up a little bit later on as well from the studio. So lots to get involved in. A lot of people are saying Sancho stays. Well, I suppose it is transfer deadline day. I want to talk about some of the stuff that that has been said. Apparently, Dan Ashworth has said this to Mike Keegan. I've had a few missed calls during the draw. I keep getting nudged from Sir David Brailsford. My phone is vibrating. Let's see what happens. The window is still open and we've got some conversations going on. That's from our director of football talking to Mike Keegan after the Europa League draw, that we've got conversations ongoing. So United could still do some business. But let's talk about Jadon Sancho. This is what Erik ten Hag had to say in relation to Jadon Sancho. And he had quite a bit to say on it. And he basically said he's playing in the squad and we are happy with him. We need a good squad. We need depth. We have to play many games until January. After the break, we play every third day, so we need options. Asked if does that mean that he expects Jadon Sancho to stay at United? As I know, yes. So as far as Erik ten Hag knows, Jadon Sancho will be staying at Manchester United. That is where we are at the moment. I suspect that is a political answer that I would have given, and I'm sure you would as well. He's sat there doing a press conference at 1 o'clock, 10 hours before the transfer window closes, knowing full well that Chelsea are pushing for Jadon Sancho, but also knowing that time is running out. He cannot sit there and say Jadon Sancho is leaving, because if he says Jadon Sancho is leaving and Jadon Sancho stays, he's got a bit of a problem. So I suspect that he is actually saying, I expect him to stay, as far as I know, because it's just, it's the safer option to take. Because if he stays, you say, well, I expected him to stay. And if he goes, then obviously, you can just react to that a little bit later. Sancho for Palmer, straight swap. Here we go, says Simon Stone. I'd love to see it happen. I'd love to see that happen. On Ugarte, lots to get into on this Erik ten Hag press conference, and I'm sure we can get into it a lot more deeper on the transfer deadline show. But on Ugarte, effectively, it has now been confirmed that Manchester United have not registered him in time for the Premier League 12 o'clock deadline. So he has not been registered in time. Very, very surprising. Very, very disappointing. Considering we had Here We Go on, was it Wednesday or Tuesday? For him not to have been registered in time for the weekend is very, very disappointing. Apparently this is Man United's plan. They have basically said for a player that wouldn't have been starting anyway, they're not going to rush it. I don't really understand it. Honestly, if I'm being critical, do we not value 3 Premier League points anymore? I mean, we just lost to Brighton. Like, this is Liverpool at home. It's a massive game. Surely you want as many options as you can in one of the biggest games of the season. So I don't really buy that we've decided not to rush it because he probably wouldn't start anyway. I don't buy into that. I think actually something somewhere is the reason why. We'll still sign him, but something somewhere has stopped this happening, because he did his medical on Wednesday. He was training yesterday and he has been training today. I don't know whether he's been training with the squad, because we didn't do that with Dillit and Mazraoui before it was official. They trained separately, but he has been training. So he could have been on the bench. I don't know whether he's part of the Uruguay squad, but bottom line is, whether he's ready or not, we have a game on Sunday where I guarantee you he could have played 20 minutes. And we've got Casemiro, Mainu, and Bruno. Mount is injured. McTominay is gone. Collier is a kid, and Eriksen, we know the issues with Eriksen. We saw against Brighton how knackered, and Fulham, how knackered Mainu was after 70 minutes. That midfield worries me at the weekend. And to not be able to have Ugarte come on for 20 minutes even as an option is a little bit worrying when Mount's injured and McTominay's not here anymore. So it's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a weird one, but Ugarte will not be involved against Liverpool on Sunday. And I suppose the disappointing thing about that is that we know what Ten Hag does with new signings. So we can already predict that he won't start against Southampton after the international break, because we'll have to wait for a mistake from Casemiro before Ugarte starts anyway. So probably not going to see Ugarte play until midweek after that, which is probably Carabao Cup. So look, at the end of the day, it matters not massively to me, and it matters not massively to you. I think it matters more to Ten Hag, whose job will be under more scrutiny if he loses on Sunday. I can't prevent that. You can't prevent that. If he gets beat on Sunday, the excuse will not be Ugarte wasn't registered in time. It will be, why did we keep this manager? So I feel bad in that sense, because he's already without Mainu. This is what he had to say about Scott McTominay as well. Quite interesting what he had to say about Scott McTominay joining Napoli. I'm very happy for him and for us, but it's mixed feelings, because I would have preferred not to lose him. He's got Manchester United in his veins. And look, that is Ten Hag. Whether you like it or not, I'm very happy that McTominay's gone. I don't know why people think I'm on the payroll of Ten Hag or Seg or anything like that, because I've always backed him and I want him to do well. But more and more, I find some of his, comments just, what did I say after the Brighton game last week? I think he piled pressure on himself. I don't know who his PR people are, but I just don't think he says the right things. You're not safe, mate. You are not 100% safe. There are people out there gunning for your job. There are people out there who want you sacked in the media. There are people in this fan base who call you a bold fraud. You are not 100% secure. You maintain the support of the fan base, quite rightly, because we want you to do well. But it's not. You're not concrete. Like you're not perfectly safe. And more bad results and more bad comments. I'll keep saying this. Solskjaer and Mourinho, at the start of their third season, nobody would have predicted they were going to get the sack. They didn't see Christmas. So Ten Hag's just got to be very careful about what he's saying. And I read that McTominay quote and I was like, hold on a minute. Most of the fan base want McTominay gone. They know it's the right thing to do. He's not good enough and we get good money for him. Ineos have made the right decision. You're sat there in a press conference basically saying he's got the Man United DNA and we shouldn't have sold him. And I'm sad about it. You're putting yourself in the minority again. You and Rip. That's Rio, by the way. I just call him Rip because his comments are dead. He makes rubbish comments. But, he said we shouldn't have got rid of McTominay because of the DNA. So, Ten Hag and Rip are hanging out. That's never a good thing. And I think that Ten Hag just needs to be a bit careful about what he's saying. The McTominay deal is a good deal for McTominay. It's a good deal for Man United. He's 28 next. We've just got 30 million quid. And you're talking about we shouldn't have got rid of him. You don't understand Man United then, do you? Is that what you're saying? You don't understand that type of player is not good enough for where we need to go. And you're telling us. The thing is, this is not about being Ten Hag out or Ten Hag in. This is about, he at Ajax played a certain brand of football. I know, you know, everybody else knows. Scott McTominay can never flourish in a possession-based team. Never in a million years. He's not very good at tackling. He goes missing. He's good in and around the box, but that's not something Man City do. That's not something Arsenal do. He doesn't suit us. And then you've got the manager saying it's a shame we've had to do that because I would have kept him. So you've got to be very, very, very careful in my opinion. He also said that Alan Shearer's comments about Marcus Rashford were stupid. So where do you sit on this one? Because basically, I don't particularly rate Shearer, Lineker. I think they're a bit boring, right? But I think that what he had to say is very, very interesting because he basically said this. It's not... Alan Shearer criticised Marcus Rashford, saying he took him off because he's not good enough and he keeps getting offside, etc. And Ten Hag said this. It's not why I took him off. That his performance wasn't good. We had to rotate. There will be rotation and there is the conclusion that the player isn't performing. It can be that, but not in this. So basically he was saying, I didn't take off Marcus Rashford because he was playing badly. I took him off because I wanted to rotate. And basically called Shearer stupid. And again, I'm just sort of like, mate, you're just putting yourself in the minority view. Like the McTominay one. Some of the decisions you made last week. And now you're making comments in press conferences that Alan Shearer is stupid for saying that Rashford was taken off because he wasn't playing well. Because you're saying he wasn't taken off because he wasn't playing well. You took him off for rotation. It's like, mate, there's nothing wrong with taking off a player because they weren't playing well. You've protected Marcus Rashford more than any manager. Like, I think Ten Hag deserves a medal for how much he's protected Rashford. And some would say it's not been reciprocated. But Ten Hag has absolutely protected Rashford. I've heard stupid rumours that Rashford doesn't like Ten Hag. And, you know, he was thinking about leaving if Ten Hag stayed. And I just don't understand. I don't get it. I think Marcus Rashford would be an absolute fool if he didn't like Ten Hag. Because Ten Hag backs him more than... You know, I've seen any manager back any player. He incredibly backs him, and there he is doing it again. But honestly, I don't think Shearer was wrong when he was talking about the offsides. I think the amount of times we get caught offside is amateur. Now, who takes responsibility for that? Is it Rashford? Is it Bruno? Is it the manager? Is it the coaches? It is absolutely embarrassing for Premier League footballers to be getting caught offside like that. We used to get told off for it when we were playing under 14s. It's lazy. Stay onside. There is a line. Do not cross it. Every now and again, it's fine, but we're 4 or 5 yards offside. It's just not acceptable. So I think Shearer was right about that. Patrick Lynch says Eric Ten Hag has to give political answers. It's part of his job. He has to do that with the British players, especially. Media always ready to pile on. Good point, Patrick. Afternoon, Mark. For me, I think Ten Hag is meaning he'd rather have gotten rid of Eriksen, for example, which I'd agree with. McTominay offers more. I'd have got rid of both. I wouldn't keep McTominay, James. Mark, Ten Hag is just being respectful to a player that he's been able to rely on. Just not saying what you're thinking out loud, says LMP. No, I don't think he is, LMP. I really, really don't. Honestly, absolutely honestly, they are not what Eric Ten Hag wanted. I said this to you 2 weeks ago. Man United wanted to sell McTominay because they needed to raise money. And Ineos felt that it was a good sale to do because of the profile of the player and his age and what they're trying to build. Ten Hag didn't want it to happen. Ten Hag is not just being polite publicly. He didn't want McTominay to go. And look, I'm a big fan of Ten Hag, but I can't defend that. Like, he didn't want McTominay to go. Let's not try and pretend that he did. And fair play to Ineos for actually doing something that Murta wouldn't have done last year. Are you excited to play Bodo Glimt? They won 6-1 against Roma, so don't write them off, says Preb. Maybe play Martin as a CDM. GSM, we can't be talking about that anymore. We can't be talking about that. McTominay is invisible in the midfield. It was the correct decision to sell him, and we got a good fee for him at 27. I agree, Miles. He can't win. Look what happened when he criticised Sancho. You can call that criticism. As Marcus Rashford is Ineos head boy, it wouldn't be good to fall out, says Sam. I don't think it matters whether Marcus Rashford is Ineos's head boy or not. Ten Hag will protect him as he always has done, and you know, whether that's right or wrong, I think you know, Rashford can never complain about that. On Rasmus Hojlund's return, he'll be back after the international break, but when after the break, I don't know. We'll see how it develops during the break to get him match fit. It will take a while before he's up. He has to build some fitness, so that's a player that's going to take a bit of time. He was asked about why he's signing Ugarte. He says, we had 3 number 10s. We didn't have any more holding the midfielders. We needed one, so that is the idea behind that. Absolutely, completely agree with that. We did need a holding midfielder. Absolutely essential to do that. So very, very important. But obviously, breaking news or confirming news, he hasn't been registered in time for Liverpool, so Ugarte will not be part of Manchester United. What I did want to check was Uruguay squad for the international break. Has anybody got that? See if I can just find it while I'm live. I've got some few more quotes coming in here. They must have released this. There must be some Uruguay games. Darwin Núñez has been banned. There's a game on Sunday for Uruguay. I don't know. I don't know whether he's in the squad or not. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat can let us know. Eric Ten Hag doesn't like Shearer, can't blame him. No, they bullied him after the FA Cup final. Fair point. Do you think Ten Hag will change the team for Liverpool? If he doesn't, he's putting unnecessary pressure on his job. Well, he's got to change the team, Kenneth, because there is no Mason Mount. He has to do that. He was called up for Uruguay, so he's fit enough to go and play for Uruguay, but he's not fit enough to play on Saturday. I smell bullshit. I smell bullshit. I smell bullshit. There ain't no way he wouldn't be fit to play on the bench for Man United on Sunday, but he can go and play for Uruguay next week. I call bullshit. I really do. Right, okay, a few more quotes to come out. Eric Ten Hag on Ugarte. I can't tell you more than you already know. It's not completed yet. We expect it, but I can't confirm it. Also, more on Scott McTominay. It's not the right thing to do for everyone. So it's not the right... Bloody hell, he's really gone in on the McTominay thing. It's not the right thing to do, but for everyone, for all parts, it's a good deal. For Scott, he's happy with it, of course. For Napoli, a very good player, but also for us. He was so important for our team. He was at Man United for 22 years, but unfortunately, it's the rules. You have to discuss the rules to do sales, and obviously homegrown players, academy players, bring more value. Again, I sort of disagree on this. I think this is a manager that, and we'll talk about this on transfer deadline day, which is coming up after me. I'm just going to let them know. And I want to know what you think of stuff. But basically, he's got three separate quotes there where he's saying, I'm not happy that Scott McTominay's gone. And I think he's wrong about PSR. He's basically saying you have to do it because it's a homegrown player and there's more value in it. He's wrong. He's right, but he's wrong. Chelsea did it with Conor Gallagher because it raises them more money than trying to sell Mudryk. I agree. But at Man United, we don't have any alternative. Like, we haven't sold Scott McTominay because he's homegrown. We haven't done that. We've sold Scott McTominay because he's got 1 year left on his contract. He's 28. He's only on 60 grand a year and he's got value. Like, people want to pay 20 to 30 million pounds for Scott McTominay, whether it's Fulham, West Ham last year or Napoli. We've sold Scott McTominay because he has a value. It's got nothing to do with him being homegrown. He's out of contract in a year and he's on good wages. So he's attractive. The homegrown thing, Ten Hag's got that completely wrong. Because what's the alternative to selling Scott McTominay? Christian Eriksen, in his 30s, is on 150 grand a week. You're not going to raise 5 million. Harry Maguire is 31, 32 with 190k a week. No one's going to give us any money for it. So he's completely using what's happened at Chelsea to put it on Man United, and he's wrong. We haven't sold Scott McTominay because of the rules around homegrown players. We've sold Scott McTominay because he's the only player in that midfield that has value. We can't sell Casemiro because he's got 2 years left on his contract on 350k a week. It's got nothing to do with the fact that he's not homegrown. So I disagree with Ten Hag trying to make out that we've had to sell McTominay because he's homegrown. Even if Scott McTominay had been signed from Preston at 22, he'd still be worth £25 million because he is worth about £25 million in this market with £60,000 a week wages. The homegrown thing doesn't matter. That's got nothing to do with it. So Ten Hag trying to make out we've had to sell Scotty because he's homegrown and that's the rules. The rules are shit. I don't like the way that Chelsea get rid of Conor Gallagher because he has that homegrown pure profit thing. But you get pure profit on a player that's at the end of their contract anyway. And McTominay's at the end of his contract. There's no pure profit on Sancho because he's still got years left on his contract. There's no pure profit on Casemiro because he's got no years left on his contract. If Christian Eriksen was 26 with a year left on his contract, we'd get about £25 million. But we won't get any money for Christian Eriksen when he's 32 because no one's going to give us that money. And the wage kills it as well. So Ten Hag's completely missed that point about why we've got rid of McTominay. We haven't sold McTominay because he's homegrown. McTominay would be worth 25 million whether he was homegrown or not. And he's only got a year left on his contract. So it's a good deal. It's a good deal. He's the only player we could sell, basically. That's why McTominay's gone. It's got nothing to do with being homegrown. I like Ten Hag, but my God, he annoys me, says Sean Turner. I just feel like he lies in press conferences. He's lied multiple times. I fully expect Sancho to leave, and Ashworth left the door open to that, says Sean Turner. Do you think Ten Hag will change the team for Liverpool? We've done that. Why is it such a piss take about to confirm a signing? Liverpool did theirs in a day. It shouldn't take days to sign some papers. Well, will Chiesa be on the bench, Kieran G? Is Chiesa in the bench? I don't know. Does this mean they're not going to announce Ugarte? They will announce Ugarte, Bailey, at some point. They will announce it, yeah. Makel says it is pure profit. Mate, you know, sometimes you talk and some people don't listen. The pure profit of a homegrown player is not in dispute. But we'd have pure profit out of Eriksen because he was free transfer. We'd have pure profit out of Scott McTominay if he'd played for Preston before he came to us because he's only got a year left on his contract. The pure profit thing is attractive to Chelsea when they've got loads of players on 8-year contracts. But applying it to Man United is actually really silly because we needed to sell a midfielder. Eriksen's pure profit. Eriksen's a pure profit sale. He's a free transfer. So you need to understand the rules. And Ten Hag trying to make out that it's similar to Chelsea is wrong. He's not understanding the point. And we've just been through it there. Anyway, I can't keep talking to you. Not because I don't want to. I love you. But because the Transfer Deadline Day show is live in the studio. We've got so many guests, so much to discuss. And there is still so much cooking. Sancho, where's he going to go? When's Ugarte going to get announced? Will there be any other deals done? Reaction to Scott McTominay's exit and Ten Hag's love letter to him saying, why did he go? All that and a lot more. Get yourself onto Transfer Deadline Day Live. Remember, I'm going to be with you from 8 o'clock till 11 o'clock tonight as well. And I'll be reacting separately to anything that breaks, like a Sancho Here We Go or an Ugarte official. But they're live from the studio from 2 till 8. I'll be live at 8. And if anything breaks, I'll go live on a different stream on the channel. We're ready. Are you ready? I'll see you over there.